FAQ, I'm too inflexible to squat and deadlift. What can I do to be able to squat or deadlift? Learn how to correctly squat and deadlift. You're not too inflexible to squat or deadlift, either one. We have been doing starting strength seminars since 2006. During that period of time, we have encountered a total now of about 4 people. Of all the thousands of people who have gone through the seminar, a total of 4 people could not squat below parallel Saturday morning. And one of them was a kettlebell champion, the other was 84 and wasn't very strong, and the other 2 were hard-headed, basically, I think. But we just don't see it. Flexibility is not really the limiting factor for squats and deadlifts, primarily because in the squat, hamstring length doesn't change very much, and therefore is not a factor in getting below parallel. Learning how to squat correctly, getting your knees out of the way and doing all the other things that we teach in the course are the way you get into position at the bottom of the squat, not through stretching or flexibility. Deadlift is a little bit more sensitive to hamstring extensibility, and one of the most fascinating things is that the deadlift, when done correctly, actually stretches the hamstrings out. You will find that at first, even if you can't deadlift with a completely extended lower back, that by the 3rd set, everything's fine. Okay? So the answer to that question is, I guess, get a coach to show you how to do this correctly, because you, in fact, can squat and deadlift correctly, and it doesn't have really anything to do with your flexibility. Okay. From the frequently asked questions, am I a novice, intermediate, or elite lifter? Well, I don't know about your elite lifter. The terminology we use is novice, intermediate, or advanced. Elite would refer to your performance, your empirical performance within a sport. How does it place you within the standings of that sport? We're not concerned with that. We're concerned with how you adapt to stress. Okay? The novice, intermediate, advanced designation applies. These are arbitrary cutoff points that we have assigned within this continuum because they work to describe the phenomenon pretty thoroughly. The continuum is a curve that approaches a limit asymptotically. It's a familiar mathematical concept. When a person starts off training, they get strong real fast because they're not yet trained. No adaptation has taken place. A person who is already very strong and has been training for 25 years doesn't get strong as easily as the person who is just starting off who is not already strong. And this should be intuitively obvious to everybody, and somewhere in the middle of that continuum is the intermediate person. At any given time, the vast majority of people who are training with weights are novices. Novices can get stronger between workouts. They can add weight to each workout and recover from that stress in 48 to 72 hours. When the ability to do that slows down to the point where that type of programming is no longer useful, the next step is to organize training into slightly longer than 48 to 72 hour chunks so that you apply stress at the front of this week-long period and are recovered from it by the end of the start of the next week, and that we refer to as intermediate training. And that period of time can continue for 2 or 3 years until finally a person's training becomes much more complicated because it has to, because the simple approach to daily or weekly increases no longer is sufficient to drive adaptation. And those people we refer to as advanced lifters. And at any given time, most people are obviously novices because most people quit. That's just the way it is. Most people quit. Advanced lifters are few and far between. They're all competitive in the strength sports. And in fact, a lot of people who would be elite football players or elite performers in other sports may in fact be novice lifters, having not gone through the process of loading on a 48 to 72 hour basis in a continuous increasing linear fashion until the adaptive capacity of that type of programming is exhausted. If you haven't done that, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It doesn't matter how advanced you are in another sport. All it means is that you have not gone through the process that you can still go through and still be considered a novice in terms of your ability to recover from stress. And that is the criteria we use to establish those three terms as we assess the trainee. What's the dumbest thing you've kicked someone out of the gym for? Kicked someone out of the gym for. The dumbest thing. I don't kick people out of the gym for dumb things. I kick people out of the gym because they need to be kicked the hell out of the gym. I had a kid that I had to kick out 25 years ago because he was instigating everybody else to violence, and he was just an intense, masochistic, odd little fuckhead, and he'd already gotten beat up 2 or 3 times. I think Patterson beat him up in the locker room one day. I come in one day and there's blood all over the ceiling. And he kept coming back. So I had to kick him out of here for his own good because he was obnoxious. He said some obnoxious stuff to me, and I took the opportunity to kick him out. But he had that coming. The dumbest thing I've kicked, I tell you what, a couple of times, there have been 2 times in my memory that I had to speak with someone in the gym about their body odor. Now that's an awkward situation. And those of you that are gym owners are nodding in agreement right now because you've been faced with the same situation. It's an unpleasant thing to have to do, and typically speaking, things don't end well. And in both these cases, the way I handled it probably didn't work out well. But look, as a gym owner, you've got a responsibility to everybody else that pays you dues. And it was getting bad, and I had to say something about it, and in both cases. But I wouldn't consider that kicking somebody out, I don't guess. That's just the unfortunate fact that you have a responsibility to other people. And things need to be addressed, and sometimes that just happens. But as far as kicking somebody out of the gym, never for dumb stuff. It's always for stuff that gets you kicked out of the gym. Dumb stuff doesn't get you kicked out of the gym. Dangerous things and that sort of thing.